Hey there my crafty friends, this is Misty with GleespenDesigns. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I am so excited about today's video. I have two farmhouse Easter wreaths for you, and one is including this super trendy farmhouse egg wreath that has a chicken wire look to it, and I knew I could recreate that using Dollar Tree items. But not only that, I have this absolutely gorgeous carrot wreath that I want to show you guys. So DIY number one is this farmhouse carrot wreath. For this DIY, you would need one of the Dollar Tree carrot wreath forms and 2.5, so technically 3 rolls of the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon that is in the orange color. Using about 2.5 of the 3 rolls of the orange ribbon, you're just going to simply cut it down into a bunch of 6-inch pieces. To dovetail the ends, and as you can see, I'm kind of lazy, so I do several pieces of ribbon at a time, and I just fold a ribbon in half and cut at an inward diagonal angle. And you will get this really cute dovetailed look on the ends of your ribbon. Then you're just going to fold the ribbon in half, kind of crooked, take a little bit of hot glue, and you just need a small dab, add it at one of the ends of the corners, and then take the other end of the corner and kind of pleat it over to that side, hot gluing the two ends together. One more time, all you have to do is fold the ribbon in half, kind of crooked, add a little dab of hot glue to one of the corners, take the other corner and pleat it to where you added the hot glue, gluing the two corners together. And you will do this with all of the pieces of the ribbon that you cut into 6-inch pieces. When it's time to start adding the ribbons to the wreath form, I start down at the bottom and I just add a little bit of hot glue onto the metal on the wreath form, and then I take one of my little ribbon pieces and add it right onto that hot glue. From this point, when I add my hot glue, I start adding a little bit onto each of the pieces of ribbon that are already on the wreath form, so that when I place the new ribbons onto there, it is adhering to the metal wreath form and also the ribbons that are already on there. So then it really all adheres together. Once you get to this portion of the carrot wreath where it has a lot of these jagged bars and the bars that go straight across, it becomes a lot easier to glue the pieces of ribbon down because you have more to glue it onto as well. So as you can tell, you're just going to simply start hot gluing all of those pieces of the burlap orange ribbon to the carrot wreath form until you get all the way up here to the top. This next step is not something that you necessarily have to do. I just did it because I wanted to have a little bit of a thicker area for the greenery to adhere to, because I will be using a decent amount of greenery on this wreath, and I just felt like the ribbons and the one bar going across the wreath in the back was just not enough. So I just simply take some Dollar Tree twine, hot glue it to the back of the wreath, and then wrap it around the top of the wreath form. For the greenery, I'm going to be using 2 of the Dollar Tree fern picks, and I just cut them into individual stems, and I'm tucking them in and behind the top portion of the wreath, which I guess would be considered their greenery part on the wreath, and I just hot glue it to the back of the wreath. Once you have whatever greenery or flowers you are using glued down and the glue is nice and dry, I take some Dollar Tree Spanish moss and add some hot glue to the portion where I put the Dollar Tree twine, and I also take that hot glue going down just a little bit on one side of the wreath. Then I just take some of the Dollar Tree Spanish moss and place it right where I added the hot glue, and like I said, I wanted the glue to be down the side a little bit just so I can have the Spanish moss kind of going down that side as well. For the bow, I will be using this absolutely adorable ribbon pack that I got off of Amazon. I will have the link down below in the description box. To make the bow, I just put the ribbon in my hand, kind of holding it to where I have a little bit of a tail, and then I make the size of loop that I would like the bow to have on one side, and then I just start making continuous loops going around. And basically, the ribbon will kind of go in its own direction on itself. You just have to pretty much figure out how big you would like your loops. This would be the bottom, like technically the base of the bow, so you could really make as many loops as you would like. You could do fewer loops if you would like, you can make bigger loops if you would like. I love this bow because you could really have all control with how big and how full it really is. Once you get the hang of this is probably the simplest bow you will ever learn and is definitely one of my favorites because it's just so easy and you're not cutting a bunch of ribbon pieces, and I like to leave the ribbon on the roll, as you can tell, because then you can go back and make it bigger if you would like. If you cut the ribbon beforehand and you decide that you want your bow to be a little bit bigger, well, you kind of don't have enough ribbon, and I've done that so many times. I have a bucket full of bows that I made and they are either too big or too small, and I could not, fix the size. So then you just pleat it in the center, kind of squishing it in the center, and add a pipe cleaner and fluff out your ribbon pieces, and you can start on the second portion of the bow, which is just simply doing the same process, just making 2 loops instead of 3. Not only are you only making 2 loops, but you are also going to make the loops significantly smaller so that the bow is smaller than the first bow that you made. Stack the smaller bow on top of the bigger bow, and then you use the chenille stem or pipe cleaner, whatever you like to call it, to hold both of the bows together. Another quick tip I like to do when it comes to making my bows is when I add the chenille stem on the bow, I like to make it just a little bit loose, not loose enough to where your bow is going to fall apart, but just loose enough to where you can kind of tug and pull on the loops if you'd like to make them bigger or smaller. And then I go in and tighten the chenille stem up when I have the bow how I would like it. Cut down the tails however long you would like them, and then I dovetail them just like we did with the orange ribbon by folding it in half and cutting it at an inward diagonal angle. Now, I know this is not a super big deal, but I do not care for the pipe cleaner or chenille stem to be showing, so I just take some Dollar Tree jute twine, hot glue it to the back of the bow, and wrap it around the bow quite a few times, covering the pipe cleaner in the center. Oh my goodness, have you guys seen these adorable bottle brush carrots from Dollar Tree? They come in a 2-pack. They are a Crafter's Square product, and they do have a jute twine little loop hanger on them, so I just wanted to cut that one end down so that it looked like it was just hanging on one string. I do that to both of the carrots, and then I kind of place them in my hand so that one is hanging a little bit higher up than the other one. Now I just take those 2 hanging carrots and I place them in the center of the bow, and I just wrap the twine around to the back and hot glue it down into place. At this point, you can also cut off the extra pieces of the chenille stem that is on the bow. Now your bow is all complete, and you just add a little bit of hot glue to the back of the bow and place it onto your wreath. I placed mine off to the right and a little bit crooked. Now let's take a look at how this absolutely stunning carrot wreath turned out. I am just so in love with this carrot wreath. It just looks so cute, and I love the bow and the ferns at the top. It just all really pulls together. Now let me tell you, this is not only adorable as a door hanging wreath, but it is also super cute as a wall decor piece as well. And moving along to DIY number 2, which is one I'm super excited for, and that is this rustic farmhouse chicken wire wreath. For this DIY, I used 2 of the 14-inch wreath frames. You could probably do the 12-inch ones as well, and I also used 2 packs of the Dollar Tree speckled eggs. If you would like to go even cheaper, you could use 1 pack of these eggs from Dollar Tree. I just liked the color of the speckled eggs just a little bit more. So all I did was lay the eggs down onto one of the wreath frames about a 1/2 inch apart, and I simply add some hot glue onto the metal part of the wreath form and glue the eggs down. Take the second wreath form and place it on top of the eggs so that you have one on the bottom and one on the top, and I try and line up those little lines that are holding the wreath form together up with the previous wreath. Then I just take some zip ties, which you can also get at Dollar Tree, and I place a few on the inner circle on the wreath form. As you can see, there's about a 1/2 inch of space between the 2 wreaths because there is the Easter eggs that does not allow the wreaths to touch completely, which is a good thing because you're going to take some Dollar Tree Spanish moss and start tucking it in and throughout the eggs. You do not want to cover up the eggs completely. Again, you're just taking that Dollar Tree Spanish moss and going all throughout the wreath and tucking it in where that space is on the wreath forms. Continue filling in the wreath form until you have the whole wreath completely filled in. At this point from the back, your wreath should look like this. Now you can cut off any extra zip tie pieces that you have on the wreath, and then I also take my scissors and go around the outside of the wreath form and cut off any of those extra straggly pieces. Now this is the part I'm super excited for. For the chicken wire look, I'm going to use a Dollar Tree wired trash can, and of course I couldn't find the black one, so I did have to spray paint mine black. But either way, whether you find the black one or you have to paint your black one, you're going to want to use some of the Folk Art Metallic sterling silver paint you can get at Walmart and just dab it all over the trash can. That will give this a much more realistic chicken wire look. Have you guys seen these little garden shears at Dollar Tree? If so, definitely grab them up. I cut so many things with them and they cut things so easy. So all I do is I take those garden shears and I cut off the top portion, basically the ring that is on the top of the trash can, and then I also cut off the bottom ring on the trash can as well. Once you have the top and the bottom of the trash can cut off, I just took my hands inside the trash can and pushed outward, really stretching that material out, and you actually get a decent amount more if you do this. Again, using those garden shears, I simply cut the circle that we have left in half, and then I stretch that piece out so that it is laying flat, and then I cut that piece into 5 4.5-inch pieces. And like I said, these garden shears are an absolute lifesaver. Once all the pieces of the trash can are cut, all you're going to do is simply take one of the pieces of the trash can, place it on the front of the wreath, wrap it around, kind of molding it with your hands, and the trash can doesn't completely go all the way around the wreath form, like to where it touches in the back. There is about a 1/2 inch of space there. So I just take some Dollar Tree floral wire, and of course I drop my garden shears and I just cut a piece off nice and long, and I kind of sew it on. Now don't freak out, I don't know how to sew either, but all I know is I do know how to place it into one side like I just did, then thread it through the other side, twist it together, and then take that long piece and just start threading it from one side to the other, and you can really see it kind of pulling the trash can around the wreath form. Keep adding the rest of the trash can pieces around the wreath form, and then when I was doing this, I did notice that 2 of the pieces kind of wanted to overlap each other. So I took my garden shears once again and just cut off the corner so that when I placed the piece of the trash can onto the wreath form, it really had a nice seamless look. And once again, when you place the trash can piece onto the wreath form, mold it around with your hands so that it is nice and curved around the wreath form. It really does actually curve very easily. And then once again, I also take that floral wire, place a piece on, and thread it back and forth, going from one side of the trash can to the other. Once you have your wreath covered, it should look like this. At this point, you could add whatever greenery and florals, ribbons, whatever you would like, decorate it however you would like it to look, and make it into your style. For me, I used some Boxwood Greenery that I will have linked down below. I did get it off of Amazon. And then I'm going to place another one of those bows that I showed you in the beginning. I just made a second one a little bit bigger, and I placed it onto this wreath as well. Once I have the bow placed down, I use some of these cotton picks that are also on my Amazon store. I will have these linked down below as well, and I just cut the stems down and add a little bit of hot glue onto them and tuck them back behind the bow, one on either side of the bow. And oh my goodness, I could not wait to show you guys this wreath. I absolutely love this wreath. It is probably one of my favorite ones that I have made here on this channel and over on TikTok as well. And I think that I actually prefer the trash can look than the actual chicken wire. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments on what you guys think as well. Either way, I definitely think that the trash can really pulls off that chicken wire look so well. I truly hope you all enjoyed these DIYs as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you, and don't forget to follow me over on Home Talk, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you enjoyed the content you've seen here today, please hit the like button. It really helps out my channel, and consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you get notified when I post new uploads. I hope to see you all and a few new friends on the next one. Bye!